A group of 5 friends are gathered to celebrate the wedding of 2 of them, Skylar and Dan. A video montage of the friends' happy memories is shown by the group's designated photographer Tommy Covington. The last friends of the bunch are Jack and Allison, who are also dating. Tommy begins shooting a documentary as a favor for Dan. Jack sends good wishes to the couple. Tommy follows one of Skylar's bridesmaids, Lauren, asking her for her thoughts. Lauren is in a hurry as she is delivering the bridal gown, but she is late. Soon, friends and family gather outside to witness Skylar and Dan exchanging vows. The wedding ceremony goes on well as expected, and the group heads downstairs to the reception area. Tommy spends his time taking videos of the beautiful girls at the party, but sadly, most of them are taken. Meanwhile, Sky and Dan dance, and then cut the cake and listen to the heartfelt speeches presented by their friends and family members. Jack gives a wonderful speech about how you shouldn't waste time when you find the one. This statement bothers Allison, who has been dating Jack for 7 years now, and he has yet to propose. Tommy sees her sulking alone and approaches her, hoping to lift her spirits. Skylar throws her bouquet toward Allison, predicting that she will be next. Jack notices that Skylar is not feeling okay, so he walks toward her. Allison expresses her frustrations to Jack, but the two are interrupted by Tommy, who starts recording them. Jack starts arguing with Tommy, giving Allison a chance to leave. Tommy is concerned, but Jack insists that they should let her cool down and enjoy the party. Later, Tommy accompanies Skylar's parents to fetch a gift from their room. The couple has been together for so long that Tommy wonders how they keep it fresh. Suddenly, the room gets cold and the elevator halts. Skylar's parents collapse on the ground and die as their eyes turn white. Tommy exits the elevator and starts asking for help, only to find that the same thing has happened downstairs. Many people have collapsed and their eyes turned white, including Lauren. Tommy reunites with Jack, Skylar, and Dan and shares what has happened in the elevator. Suddenly, a massive earthquake causes the building to start collapsing, so the group runs outside. They find that the traffic is jammed due to the sudden deaths. There are giant rips on the roads, buildings are collapsing, and airplanes are crashing and exploding. While exiting the building, another tremor occurs and an ear-piercing sound similar to that of a trumpet is heard. The group tries to make their way to safety while discussing various theories as to what has happened. Dan thinks that there is an alien invasion, but Tommy believes there is a scientific explanation for this. Skylar starts talking about the rapture, saying that the believers had been taken while the non-believers remained. Suddenly, hail starts falling onto the street, accompanied by loud claps of thunder and intense lightning. The group runs to a library for shelter, causing the boys to be separated from Skylar. The boys split up to look for the young wife in the library. Tommy takes one route and is startled by a dead body. A girl, Sam, pops up and assures him that the dead won't hurt them. Tommy sees Skylar scurrying off to the book aisles. When he approaches her, Skylar asks for the Bible, eager to prove her point. Tommy and Sam help her look for one while the other guys join them. Jack feels that their first priority should be finding Allison. After a few minutes, Skylar finds and reads a passage depicting all the events that have happened. Tommy mentions that Allison might be at a church she normally goes to anytime she and Jack argue. Skylar is against this idea since she feels that things will only get worse and it is important that they stick together. After a little persuasion, the group leaves the library and is joined by Sam. On the way, the group sees many airplanes that are still burning. After a short while, it stops raining and the area turns darker, as if a thick fog is upon them. The group wonders why the streets are deserted and why it is so quiet. Suddenly, something crosses the group very quickly, leaving behind a sound. The entity grabs Skylar. The group starts looking for her, only to see her floating midway and then falling to the ground. The group grabs Skylar and rushes to the church, where Pastor Shea lets them in. The Bible that Skylar was holding has now turned to dust. Pastor Shea calls out for a nurse to tend to Skylar's injuries while Jack and Tommy look for Allison. They soon find her and the group walks to witness the nurse treating Skylar. The nurse dresses the wounds while Dan calms her down. Elsewhere, Tommy approaches Shea, hoping that he knows what is going on. Shea confirms what Skylar had said earlier about the rapture. Shea knows that God did not kill all those people, but he gave them the gift of eternal life. He also explains that what attacked Skylar is not an alien as Tommy believes it to be. The discussion is interrupted by the arrival of more survivors, including a pregnant woman. The team hurries to help the woman give birth. The baby is a boy, but he is stillborn and his eyes are white. Shea and Tommy go to the basement to dig a grave for the kid. Shea says that he knew the baby would be dead as he is innocent. He also confesses that even though he is a pastor, he was not a believer. Earlier on, he had witnessed his entire family get taken by the rapture. This gave him the knowledge to discern that everything going on is according to God's will. Tommy tells Jack that the best option for them is to leave the church and go elsewhere. Suddenly, a survivor tries to get into the church only for the entity to get him. The survivors in the church can hear the demon drag the body and break a window. Tommy uses Sam's phone to reveal his true feelings toward Allison in case things go south. He has been in love with her ever since he saw her 7 years ago. He also feels bad about how Jack treats Allison. Jack watches the news from a survivor's tablet. The whole phenomenon is termed instant death syndrome, and it has taken all kids and infants, alongside a healthy amount of Christian adults. The government is urging people to take shelter indoors as the weather patterns are unusual. Jack seeks out Allison and confesses that he is in love with her and would like to marry her. He also feels bad that he has taken this long. Tommy approaches the couple and shows them the video of Skylar getting snatched by the entity. Shay sees it and calls the entity the Fallen that come after the fifth trumpet. Their work is to torture and destroy as humans cannot fight them. Meanwhile, Skylar's wound gets bad and the nurse believes that the wound is getting infected. The nurse has some antibiotics in her car, but it is outside the parking lot. Tommy and Dan volunteer to find the antibiotics. The two quickly locate the car and get in. Unfortunately, one of the Fallen sees their light and begins approaching them. Luckily, another man approaches the entity, giving Tommy and Dan a chance to escape. The two give the nurse the medication that Skylar needs. Tommy starts recording his friends asking them to confess something. Jack confesses his love for Allison, but Tommy mentions that it shouldn't take losing Allison to realize that he wants to be with her. This makes Jack grab the camera, forcing Tommy to admit that he is in love with Allison. Luckily, Dan intervenes and reveals that he once had an affair. He is sorry for it and knows that Skylar deserves better. Skylar's wounds get worse and the nurse explains that only a doctor can help. The infection seems to be spreading fast like a virus. The group decides to go to the hospital at dawn. Soon, Shay gathers all the survivors in the church. He intends to encourage them and show true faith like he should have when he became a pastor. Shay is giving his sermon when the Fallen start pounding on the doors and roof. Shay instructs the group to go downstairs to the basement. The group quickly hurries down and locks the door. They can still hear the demons pounding on the roof and destroying everything in the church. Suddenly, they hear the nurse screaming for help. Tommy opens the door, but the nurse is grabbed by the entities, which eliminate her. In the morning, the survivors find that Shay had sacrificed himself for the survivors. The whole church is a mess and bodies are sprawled everywhere. Dan and his friends head to the hospital, where they find other survivors going to a refuge center put together by the military. Jack and Tommy go off in search of help. However, the hospital has been ransacked, so the boys find nothing of value. They see family members who have refused to let go of their loved ones still mourning in the hospital. Unfortunately, Skylar succumbs to her injuries, but not before professing that she chooses God. Dan is angered by this and driven by grief. He walks outside and starts ranting to God. Suddenly, a tentacle impales and drags him upwards while Tommy and Jack watch. Allison records a message on Sam's phone. However, Sam sees an entity coming closer with every word Allison says. By the time Jack and Tommy get downstairs, the girls are nowhere to be seen. Tommy finds Sam's phone and sees the entity eliminating Allison. Jack finds Allison's body and is distraught. Sam approaches them, scared at what had happened. Tommy wants to leave the hospital, but Jack does not want to leave Allison. Tommy apologizes for loving Allison the way he did, but explains that the two are best friends and that he will not leave Jack alone. After letting Jack grieve, the three decide to join the other survivors at the military center. The group reaches the relief center by nightfall. There are many survivors at the place. After fraternizing for a while, Sam shows Tommy and Jack the video Allison had recorded. In it, she asks her friends to make a choice. Will they follow God or will they choose to serve their selfish desires? Jack walks toward a pastor and asks to be baptized. Tommy hears the overhead speakers playing the Amazing Grace song and realizes that the demons will attack the camp as they are drawn by faith. Tommy starts looking for Jack and finds him in a church enclosure. Suddenly, an entity grabs Jack and eliminates him, morphing his body into various shapes. Up above, the skies open and the demons descend into the earth. Sam and Tommy huddle together amidst the chaos. Sam realizes that they have no option but to make a choice. She gets up and says that she chooses God before dying a few seconds later. Tommy watches the descending demon and one grabs him. As it drags him away, Tommy shouts for God, showing that he has placed his faith in him as well. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for more videos like this. Thank you for watching.